happened to Jesus between his death and his resurrection? Some people believe that Jesus descended into hell to continue paying for our sins, while others believe that after his death, he went straight into heaven. So, what's the truth? What happened to Jesus between his death and his resurrection? Oftentimes when people say that Jesus went to hell, they reference the Apostles' Creed, which was written around the 2nd to the 3rd century, and it very clearly says that he descended to hell. Now, this leads people to believe that Jesus descended to hell to further pay for our sins, but that is unbiblical. When Jesus died, he said, "It is finished." His death sufficiently paid for our sins and provided for our redemption. The confusion actually lies in the modern misunderstanding of what hell actually is. Hell is just the English translation of Hades. Hades is the Greek and Sheol is Hebrew, so they are all referencing the same place. We just use hell today to describe the final resting place, the eternal place of torment and anguish, when that's actually the lake of fire. Hell is a temporary place. Hades or Sheol actually means the place of the dead, and this is a temporary place where souls go to wait final judgment. Hell is temporary. The lake of fire is final. That is where unbelievers are sent after the final judgment. And that is essentially what we picture when we say hell. So, did Jesus go to hell between his death and his resurrection? Yes, he did. Did Jesus go to hell to further pay for our sins? No, he didn't. So to explain this, we have to understand what Hades, Sheol, and hell actually is, what it actually looks like. Hades has two sides: a blessed side for believers in Yahweh, often called paradise or Abraham's bosom, and then we have the cursed side for unbelievers, a place of suffering and torment, and they are separated by a chasm. We see this in the book of Luke very clearly. So Jesus is speaking here. He says, "There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, 'Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire.' But Abraham replied, 'Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us.'" Lazarus represents believers and the rich man represents unbelievers. Jesus is giving us a very clear picture of what happened to your soul when you died before his resurrection. Under the old covenant, prior to Christ's resurrection, believers who died went to the bosom of Abraham. They did not go to heaven. Why? Because our sins hadn't been paid for yet, so we couldn't be in the presence of God. After his resurrection, that barrier was removed. In Job 14:13, he says, "Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would conceal me until your wrath be past." In Psalm 88:3, it says, "For my soul is full of troubles, and my life draws near to Sheol." So we see multiple times in the Bible that they are believers, they are referencing going to Sheol or Hades. Now, when Jesus died, he descended into Hades, he descended into hell, he descended into Sheol to gather the believers from the bosom of Abraham and take them into the presence of God, because believers' sins were now paid for. So everybody in the bosom of Abraham could now go to heaven and be in the presence of God. Matthew 12:40 says, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Now we know from multiple verses throughout the Bible that the center of the earth is in reference to Hades. This is just one example. This is Numbers 16 verse 30. "But if the Lord creates something new and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol." From other versions, we see that hell, Hades, and Sheol are also referred to as the pit or the realm of the dead. And we read in Ephesians 4, "When he ascended on high, he led a host of captives, and he gave gifts to men. In saying he ascended, what does it mean but that he had also descended into the lower regions, the earth? He who descended is the one who also ascended far above all the heavens, that he might fill all things. And I'll give you one more. So this is Acts 2, verse starting in 25, ending in verse 31. This is in reference, this part up here is in reference to Psalm 16:10. It is a messianic prophecy about Jesus. It says, "For you will not abandon my soul to Hades, or let your Holy One see corruption." Holy One obviously is capitalized because it is Jesus. He is referencing that God the Father will not leave him or abandon him in Hades. The clarification here, he foresaw and spoke about the resurrection of the Christ, that he was not abandoned to Hades, nor did his flesh see corruption. And obviously, in order to be abandoned somewhere, you have to be there in the first place. So when Jesus died, he did go to hell, but he didn't go to hell to further pay for our sins, because that was finished on the cross. He went to hell, he went to Hades, he went to Sheol to gather all of the believers from the bosom of Abraham and take them into the presence of God. We also see from 1 Peter that he did a little preaching to the cursed side as well. Now, because we are under a new covenant, because Christ has paid for our sins, if we are to pass away, we go straight into the presence of the Lord. And we see this in 2 Corinthians. It says, "Therefore we are always confident and know that as long as we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord. For we live by faith, not by sight. We are confident, I say, and would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord." Hell, Hades, or Sheol is a temporary place where souls go to await their final judgment. But because of Christ's death, burial, and his resurrection, the blessed side, Abraham's bosom, is now empty.